critical session, storytelling and script fundamentals. So we're having that today and on Tuesday. Then on Thursday, Brady will be coming in for week 3 session. So today we want to look at storytelling and script fundamentals. How do you turn your ideas into compelling stories? Because it's not, filmmaking starts with story. Filmmaking starts with story. If you cannot tell a good story, then you are not in the business of filmmaking. Filmmaking is very critical. It's very critical that you tell a good story when you are shooting your film. So filmmaking starts with telling a compelling stories, telling stories that people can relate with, telling stories that people can easily understand. So it's very important that while you tell your story with all sense of seriousness, you tell your story with all sense of intentionality. So filmmaking is very, very critical. That storytelling is very, very critical. In fact, without a script, you don't have a film. Still say it, without a script, you don't have a film. So for those of us that shoot films, or for those of us that join film classes, you understand that one of the basic things when we start talking about budgeting and every other thing, it is premised on the fact that there is a script. It is premised on the fact that there is a script. So storytelling and script fundamentals, they are very, very key for our filmmaking journey. So let's dive into this journey as much as possible. Remember, this is a 2-part class. This is part 1 of week 2. Part 2 of week 2 will be on Tuesday, where you're going to be doing some hands-on exercises. But ahead of that time, I will share you some links, some videos you need to watch. But definitely you're doing some exercises. So let's move on. People don't watch films; they experience stories. Like this night now, one thing that I plan doing after this class is to experience a story. It's been long. I watch a movie. I want to watch a movie this night. Now, if your story is weak, everything else will fail. Just know that. People don't just want to watch your films. They want to experience your story. Stories create emotion. Emotion creates connection. Connection creates impact. Don't forget, your stories create emotion. For example, she walks into the room, slap her husband, only to discover that the person that enters the car with her husband was a friend who was injured. So your stories must create emotion. There must be emotion in your story. Your emotion is the one that creates the connection. Like people, when you watch some movies, you see people they feel apologetic, they feel pitiful for somebody who is a thief, because the way the story was written, it was written as if thief or stealing is a good business. Connection creates impact. So this is this connection that you see people after they watch a story, they want to live according to the character they've seen. So the truth is simple. When you watch a film, you don't just observe, you want to feel, you want to connect, and you want to be transformed by the journey. And that is the truth about story. So if your story must be compelling, if your story must be compelling, certain things is very clear. Just like we started with the place of visioning, you must have a clear goal. You must have a clear goal. Every great story begins with a character who wants something. There's a character that wants to get married. And because she wants to get married, everybody she sees talking to her, every young man that she sees talking to her is like, oh, this person is my husband. There is a guy that is looking for money. Every business that comes to him, every idea that comes to him is like a business opportunity. Now, there are real conflict and stakes. So if you have a clear goal, your clear goal will now come with obstacles. It is obstacles that make the journey interesting. Without obstacles, there's no story. Somebody wants to get married. Now, the reason why this person cannot get married is because if it's a guy, there's financial limitation. If it's a lady, because of parental pressure. A father is saying you cannot marry somebody that is outside. You know, these are common Hollywood stories. But now, what makes your own story different from a story that somebody can predict that at the end of the day, the father will not agree, the mother will not agree, they will not marry? It's different. Maybe yours is that the father may be involved in a very serious accident. And now if I tell you that the father is involved in a very serious accident, your connection will be the person that will save the father, maybe the husband to be. What about if the person that knocked the father down in the accident happens to be the husband to be? More problem. Then you become more interested. How do we solve this problem? The husband that they don't want to marry now knocks the father of the girl. So your story must have obstacles. Without obstacles, there's no story. Real conflict creates tension. It creates emotional stakes. It makes us want to care. And it makes a journey that transforms the character and all that. So you are following this character. You want to see what happens to this character. You want to see what happens to this character. So again, four things are very, very important. There must be a clear goal. There must be a real conflict. There must be emotional stakes. What is at stake? The husband to be that the father is saying that guy is from a Yoruba land. I don't want a Yoruba to marry my Igbo daughter. And eventually the Yoruba guy was driving down my two, and then he knocks the father down because the father was on a bike. Now there is a real conflict here. Now I want to see the father. Now the father knocked the father down. The father is in a coma, and then people are saying when they got to know that this is the father this is the guy you want to marry, and you are the one that knocked the father down from a bike. And then the guy is just saying this is a done deal. And then the father came out of coma. So you want to look at your story must have conflict, relatable conflict, even sometimes unrelatable conflict that people look at. Wow, this is out of this world. Though. Do you think this? Then there are emotional stakes, and that is just what I said. What are the stakes involved in your story? It's a journey of change. Journey of change. Okay, I think I have some persons waiting. I'll just admit them in. Still 14. Maybe hopefully next time I'll have to make one of you an admin that can easily admit people in to the class while I continue with the class. It's very important I don't get distracted. So if we are together, just say we are together. Type on the box. Just put on the chat box. We are together. It's very important that we interact in the course of all our classes. Okay, I see thumbs up. If you are with me, just give a thumbs up or just type together. Okay, we are together. Okay, we are together. Very, very importantly, we are together. So now look at this. Just look at this. Your story is equal to your conflict. There is no conflict, there is no story. So we have two types of conflicts. There are two types of conflicts in storytelling. The first is the internal, the battle within the character. So what is going on inside of the character? You want to see what is going on inside this character. This girl, she's already 30 years old. She's shuffling with job. There is this pressure on her that when she's 35, because of this particular health issue, she may not be able to give birth. There is doubt, there is fear, and now she wants to get married, and she happens to be a minister in the church, and she knows that 35 is just by the door. She's just 33 now. 2 years down the line, not she's 34. 1 year down the line, she'll be 35, and she needs to have a child. She needs to have a child now, and okay, please, I'm in the class. I'm not certain of joining. Okay, that is good. Just sorry. Now, this is the conflict before her. Now she asked, this is internal dilemma. What do I do? There is a moral part. I cannot jump the ladder. I cannot have unwanted pregnancy. My father is not listening. This is happening. Then there are external forces outside the character, the people, her father, the society, the church, her circumstances. She's a career lady. So your conflict must create tension. Your tension must keep attention. The goal of your conflict is not that you just want to create some kind of unrealistic tension. The goal of your conflict is that you want to create tension and you want your tension to attract attention. If there is no stakes, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to know what your story is all about if there is no stakes. There is a question here. Think of a film you love. What made you feel something about that film? Just go to the chat box. Think of a film that you love very much and what makes that film feel special to you. Think of a film that you love. I want to see that on the platform. I want to see that on the chat. I want to see that on the group, on the chat group. There is a film that you love. Think of that film and tell me what is that thing that makes that film quite interesting. Okay, while you're doing that on the chat box, I'll just move on. Think of the film and drop it on the chat box. So there are basic story structure. There is a story structure. We have the beginning, the middle, the end. Very basic structure of every story. The beginning, it introduces the world and the characters. So we're talking about a lady that wants to get married in Maitu. So we want to do an opening montage and looking at the montage and looking at the lady, looking at her family, looking at her world. What is our world view? There is a middle. What is the middle of your story? We'll call it the conflict and struggle. There is an end. There is closure and transformation. And there is what we call resolution. It must be simple. It must be powerful. What do we learn from your story? So it's a three-act structure, the beginning, the middle, and the end of your story. Now, let's see this. So we'll call it the three-act structure. The act one is called the setup. So when you're writing your story, you want to follow this act structure because, again, it is a standard structure, and it's a structure that works perfectly fine with every movie. And it's perfectly fine with every life also. In life, we start up with the child, and the confrontation is the challenges this child faces before he became an adult. The resolution is that whether this child become rich or he became poor, or this child become, there are so many things. So you want to look at the first, the act one tells you the setup. It introduces you to the character. It established the normal before the storm. It sets what was at stake. So it shows you the character. This is what is normal now. She wants to get married. She's doing fine. And I'm still using that same story. I'm just using that same story. So she wants to get married. She's doing fine. She's a minister in the church. And now something happened suddenly. She fell ill and she was rushed to the hospital. And the doctor told her that, listen, if you are not pregnant before 35, 36, there is tendency that you will not be pregnant in your life again. This is something at stake. And she has a suitor that she was posting that this guy is a Yoruba guy. And her dad has told her that, listen, I cannot take a Yoruba guy in. And this guy, while this guy was thinking that, look at the love of my life, that we've been together right from university day, now it's about time to settle down. And I'm hearing that the father is saying, I cannot marry her. While he was thinking, the father was on a bike running home. It was on a bike. And the guy knocked the father. And the father was rushed to the hospital. So you see these are conflicts. There is an internal struggle within her. Internal struggle. Now there are external struggles. And now there's a third external struggle. That is the husband that knocked the father. How do I even tell my father that this is the man that wants to marry me and the man that knocks you down? So the act 3 will not be resolution. The resolution will not be, how do we solve these 3 problems? Number 1, she was diagnosed with an ailment. Number 2, she cannot drop the ball and just become pregnant because she's a minister and because she also understands that there are societal pressure. Number 3 now, her father. There is culture. And now the climax of this all is that her husband knocks her father down and the father is hospitalized. So I want to see how you resolve this. And the way you resolve this, because by the time you create the conflict, people are looking and say, hey, wahala don't happen. How she want to solve these 3 problems? So the journey complete. Every great thing follow this flow. Are we together? Okay. Thank you. We are together. Thank you for that. So now, if you are writing your character development, now we are looking. So if you look at stories as characters. Your characters are the people, your actors in your story. Now, characters need clear objectives that drive their action. Goals give purpose to every scene and create momentum that push. Now, I'm trying to read this because I'm going to share this slide with you at the end of the day, just like I told you, that push the audience. Now, for your character, you want to establish who is your character. You are talking about this lady now. You want to tell us, we want to know who is this lady. We want to feel her struggle. We want to feel her pain. So there must be clear goal. The character must not be confused who she is. The character must not be confused what is her age range. The character must not be confused what is her internal struggles. The character must feel who she is. Now, characters must have flaws. We don't have perfect characters. If you have a perfect characters, they are boring. Perfect characters are boring. I think this is the last person I'm admitting for now. Every other person will be after 8:45. So you don't have perfect characters. There must be flaws in the character. And that is what makes it interesting. Even when you watch good movie, when you watch all this action movie, you see that even your actor has a problem. And that problem is where the boss will always it. So there's a weakness. One problem I know with Jackie Chan is that Jackie Chan, if you watch Jackie Chan's story very well, Jackie Chan's problem is always family problem. How many of you have seen Jackie Chan's story? If you have seen Jackie Chan's story, give me a smile. Just drop a laughter emoji or give me a thumbs up. If you watch Jackie Chan movie very, very well, I mean Jackie Chan, this Asian actor, you know that one of his major problems in all of his movies is that family is one of his major problems. You see that they killed his uncle or they killed his mother, and then he become a drunk addict, and then he went and learned drunken master. And then when they want to beat him, they will beat him because he is drunk. Now, from that his weakness will come out his strength. Story is very beautiful. From that his weakness will come out his strength. Like you are talking about the story of, let's say you are talking about the story of that lady now. The lady now, she needs to, that ailment becomes her strength. How do you now draw strength from that character? So character development. They must have goals, they have flaws, they must make decisions, and they must change over time. So you put the characters before decision. Devil Wear Prada is getting a lot of attention. Okay, Devil Wears Prada is getting a lot of attention because the original movie was iconic. The tension between ambition, love, career, and identity. Okay. Legend of the Seeker. I love that movie. I love that. I'm seeing that now. Monica by Uche Montana. The film is just so touching and the true life story. The GOAT, not giving up on your dreams, no matter what. Okay. Movie that makes movie good is a Christian girl marrying a Muslim guy. The girl is a pastor. It was very difficult for the parents, and I learned so many Christians don't know their place in Christ. Legend of the Seeker. Alpha is the title of the film. The tension and suspension that makes me like it. Three Idiots. Three Idiots. Abattoir, the suspense is that the movie is beyond this world for me. I love that. So I'm just going through your comment and seeing your comment. Quite great comment there. Great comment there. I think I've seen most of the movies that you guys mentioned. The only one that I've not seen is Devil Wear Prada. Maybe Temidire want to tell me about this movie. It's getting a lot of attention because the original movie was iconic. The tension between ambition, love, career, and identity feels very real. There's one story that me and my wife normally watch. It's called The Good Doctor. That story, we can stay there for like 4-5 hours before we know that time has gone. It was of recent that we deliver ourselves from it. I think that was sometimes last year when we become very, very committed to so many other things. There's a story that also win my heart. Suits. This is a guy that is very, very intelligent. Some of you have seen Suits. He's a lawyer, but he never went to Harvard. But because he's very, very brilliant, he can pick up a book within 2 seconds. The guy will just pick up a book like this. This is a book here. I have a book here. So this guy will pick up this book and then he just go and then give you the book and tell you that go to page 70. So the guy was a genius, and then he was able to get a job as a lawyer. He was able to falsify his certificate, and then, the whole story goes about trying to see him, know him, and then cover up, and he was the best lawyer. He was winning cases. So stories are quite interesting. And when you see those stories, when you are writing your stories, you to write your stories that somebody will watch your story and the person will be interested in seeing your story to the end. I hope that makes sense. So let's move on. Emotion is everything. Don't forget, emotion is everything. Emotion is everything. You see, when people are shooting stories, when you are even people that shoot sci-fi movie, they want to pull your emotion. You see somebody that is found in outer space, and suddenly the oxygen in the vessel or the oxygen in the spaceship is dropping gradually. And you see this guy is remembering that he told his daughter that I'm coming back on Earth. I'm coming back to Earth to take care of you. You see the wife that is in the hospital that is facing cancer, and the man is just there and it's about losing oxygen. And while the guy is losing consciousness, he's seeing flashes of his daughter saying, "Daddy, come home." He's seeing flashes of his wife where the wife is screaming for help. These are emotion. I love the story that Sister Bosse talked about, about the Muslim girl, the Christian girl that wants to marry the Muslim guy. We can even make it more conflicting. That our story that we're talking about, this story that we're talking about, that this girl that wants to marry, now we can add more conflict to that. That even this guy that she wants to marry, the guy is a Muslim. How do you now manage this whole story? And God is telling her that is your husband. It doesn't fit the conventional story. Do you understand that? And she has prayed. And she has gone to counselor. And we told her that we that are the counselor, we told her that there is no way the Holy Spirit will direct you to go and marry an unbeliever. Because there is no, you cannot be unequally yoked with unbeliever. Now you make the story more complex. The Christians will be watching you and say, let's see how this story will end. Now she says it's a Christian story. And one foolish thing to do is now to end the story in such a way that something will just happen that is not relatable. So let's move on to our story. So don't forget, emotion is very key. You want to see joy, you want to see pain, you want to see hope, you want to see fear, you want to see tension. If your story doesn't move you, it won't move anyone else. Let this sink in before you move forward. If you are writing a story and the story does not make sense to you, if your story does not make sense to you, there is no way that story is going to make sense to anybody. If your story does not make sense to you, towards the end, I will put out some scripts. Scripts are very, very available. They are open source scripts. Scripts are very, very available. You can always go to the internet and download as many scripts as possible. Even your favorite movie, you can go to some free. You can go to this open source script where you have most of your movies. They have their script there. You just download their script and you see the way their scripts are being written. So if your story don't move you, your story will not move any other person. So test it on yourself. If you are not emotionally moved by your stories, be rest assured that people may not be emotionally moved by your story. And that doesn't mean that you are looking for the perfection. You are looking for perfection. It simply means that you really want your story to be of value to people. Now, writing for screen versus writing for stage. I said this. There is something different between stage and screen. A lot of Christian or a lot of drama ministers that transition from drama into filmmaking makes these mistakes more often. So when you see their storyline is like they are writing a stage play. A stage play, so let's look at the difference now. Film is not about talking, it's about showing. So the reason why I buy television is to see, is to hear, and then the third part is to feel. And what makes me feel is the way the sound is being designed. You know, I told you the last time that the way you design your sound will tell us whether we want to see your movie or not. So for movie, you want to show, you are showing, somebody wants to feel, want to see, and wants to hear. Then in the case of stage, it is dialogue driven, a lot of talk. A lot of talk. The girl goes to her father and says, Daddy, I cannot do this again. You are just killing me. You are just killing me. Daddy, I just have 1 year. There's somebody that is, you are watching this on the screen, and the girl is crying, and she's crying, and suddenly she dropped a message on her phone. I am dying. Please help me. You want to relate, and then there is this sound that is driving it. There is emotional sound. You know, limited space. So in stage, you have limited space. But in the case of movie, you don't have limited space. You can pace around the room. In your stage, your words carry the story because the audience can only hear you. So the way you are able to manage the tone, the intonation of your words will determine how much your audience are able to get the emotion. So the audience, they try to imagine even the things that you are saying. Yesterday I was in my two, and an Okada hit me because I was just thinking about my marriage. The audience will start thinking of my two. Okada hit you in my two. The audience are thinking that is stage. But in the case of film, in the case of screen, they will show you yesterday. That yesterday I was in my two, or he said it is finished, and then you say at my two, and we see cut away to my two, where you are just walking and you hear pa 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 pa, Okada brush you, and then you come back again, and then you keep on crying. People are feeling the story. Are you feeling me? All right, thank you very much, Bola Tito. Thank you very much for that. So it's very important that we understand the difference between stage and screen. Stage and screen are two different things. So when you're writing because today is your first assignment, you are going to write a story. And I want to beg you, write your story first before you take it to AI to format it for you. Write your story first before you take it to AI to format it for you. Ensure you write your story because it's one of your assignments. It's one of your assignments that we'll be looking at on Tuesday. While we'll be working, we'll just take a couple of assignments to work with on Tuesday, maybe 2 or 3 assignments to work with on Tuesday. Let's move on. Don't worry, as the class goes on, I will show you some sample scripts. So, again, I said this, you show, you don't tell. The visual storytelling rule is that instead of dialogue like I am sad, show sadness through powerful visual cues, meaningful actions, pregnant silence, and evocative environment that speak louder than words. Actions, silence, environment. So instead of saying I am sad, instead of saying, Daddy, I am sad, you are just crying. You are sobbing. You are sobbing. They look at the food that they gave to you since morning. The food is there. You've not taken anything. Your makeup is not making up. So in visual storytelling rule is that you show, you don't tell. As much as possible, by the time you're writing your script, you find out that your action line is even more than your dialogue. Your action line is more than your dialogue. Your action line, so when we get there, you'll see what I mean by action line. I will show you a sample script this evening. I'll show you how a sample script is. So by the time you are going to develop your script, and I'll tell you some software that you can use. Initially, I used CellTest before, but CellTest now is already a paid version. I was checking it out this evening. CellTest is already something that you have to pay for. So let's look at this sample script. Can you see the screen? Can you see the script? Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. So let's look at, let's just do a brief, because on Tuesday, when we'll be talking, we'll be looking at how to write a script like this. So if you look at this script has various parts. So there are various sections of the script. So you have the scene heading, you have the action, you have the character, you have the dialogue, you have what to call the intercut, you have what to call the sub-header, we have what to call the transition, which could be fade in. Most times you start your script with fade in. You have what to call the scene number. So your transition, I have explained about transition. You have what to call extension, like a voiceover. You have what to call parenthetical, like what is in brackets, and then you have what to call short. Now your scene heading is, your scene can either be exterior or interior. And then when you say exterior, you tell us the place and you tell us the time. So for example, you can see this scene here is exterior, is suburban, home, and is night. And then look at the action. Look at the action one. We open in a modern suburban home, the front window illuminated by light inside. We see the silhouette of a small human figure as it runs back and forth. We push in closer as we slowly see a boy running around the house. You see the action. This is still action. Oh, there is no word. Oh. Now, you're already shooting film. You're already seeing the sound. Then we cut to, look at scene 2. Interior suburban home, kitchen, night. A green ball sits on a countertop. A young hand snatches it. It belongs to Filbert. Filbert happens to be 9. Weary, lost in his own imagination world, dressed as a knight, a toy sword in his hand. Now look at Filbert. This is a voiceover for Filbert. This is my castle. I am sworn to protect it. Anyone that stands in my way shall bear the wrath of the Almighty. Just then, you see the transition now. Now, if you see that VO in bracket, VO means voiceover. Just then, the babysitter walks in, Becky. Now, the very first time you are mentioning the character name in the script, you capitalize it and you see the age. That thing you see in bracket there is the age. Becky is 23, trendy, distracted. She's mid-phone call with Filbert's mom, Tracy. Now, when they mention Tracy, the first mention of Tracy name is that they capitalize Tracy name. So the first time that they mention Filbert name, they capitalize it and they tell his age. Now, Filbert mom, you know that definitely Filbert mom is Filbert mom. They didn't put her age here, so you could just assume if Filbert is 9 years old, you want to add like maybe somewhere around 29 or early 30s or mid 30s, except the person has some other issues again. Now, there's what we call intercut. So we have intercut phone conversation. Now, look at Tracy, look at Becky. Becky said, oh yeah, it's been good. It's just fighting ox or trolls. Tracy, oh, that is perfect, normal. Now, Filbert lift his sword into the air, let out a big battle. This is still action. Oh. Anytime that they give you explanation like this, they are called action. Explanation about what is happening is action. Then, always. This is what we call sub-header. Now, in sub-header simply means that, sub-header means that it's not the header. Remember, the header will tell you whether it's interior, the place where it is being shot, and the scene. Most times, for every scene comes with an heading. Filbert comes around the corner, distracted by his fantasy, bumps into the wall. Now he's still in the same scene. So it was on the hallway, maybe it's a staircase, or maybe some kind of a passage. Then Filbert point of view. Look at this shot. This shot is called POV, means point of view. In slow motion, the ball stumbles down the stairs. So Filbert is looking at the ball. So it could be an over-the-shoulder, low-angle shot that Filbert is looking at the ball as the ball is going down the stairs. We hear each bounce echo as the ball travels down the step. So this is a sample of a script. You can see that it's very complex here. Now, if you read this script, you can already visualize and see what is happening in the story. Do we get that? Thank you, Sash. Do we get that? Okay. So let's look at common mistakes in storytelling when you don't have clear conflicts. When there's no clear conflict, it's a common mistake. When there are weak characters without depth, without goals, or flaws. Even waka pass. You see, even your waka pass in story, they have depth. Somebody just walk past. Like maybe when the ball is strolling, and then you just see a shadow of somebody pass by the window. There must be depth. When there is too much talking, film is a visual medium. Excessive dialogue replaces showing with telling, weakening the cinematic experience. So when you write your story, I don't want to see much talking. I want to see a lot of action. And when I say action, it means description of things that are going on. You should show, not tell. Don't forget. When there is no emotional depth, stories without emotional stakes feel empty. If the audience doesn't feel something, they won't remember anything. The reason why most of us can remember the stories we mentioned is because you felt something. So you want to avoid these mistakes when you are writing your story. Now, reality check. Ideas are cheap. Execution is everything. Many people have ideas. Few can structure them well. So structure is your advantage. The difference between a dreamer and a filmmaker is the ability to execute. So your storytelling is not just saying, I want to write story. You can see now, look at that script. If you go back to that script, you can see the way the script is. How many of us will sit down and say, I want to write my script this way? And that is why you're in this class. The purpose of this class is to ensure that you write scripts that you can send. You can even submit your scripts. And people will be willing to pay for your script because your script makes the story easy for them. No filmmaker shoot any great film without a script. Even when you are submitting your film to Netflix will see that there's a script and the result is shot according to the script. So in case if they need to call an editor to re-edit what you have edited, they will have your raw clips. So I go, yeah. So now these are our assignments. You see that I want to pause so that today we can have questions and answers. And then if there are slides that you don't understand, you can tell me, go back to that slide, go back to the slide. Then our next class will be, how do you now write this kind of script that you have seen? How do you write this kind of script? Maybe you don't even have those software that will use the writing script. How can you use your Microsoft Word? Or how can you use your WPS to write a script like this? What are the fonts? This is a Courier font. This is Courier, I think they use Courier 9, monospace. That is, the space between every letter is the same. So how can you write a script? That is what we'll be doing next. That is what we'll be doing on Tuesday. When you develop your story, we'll now see how you can transition your story into a script. And now for the student that really wants to show that they are very, very serious, they can go ahead and even watch YouTube videos to look at scripts. The reason why I gave you the timetable is that you can go to videos. That timetable is to guide you. So that even before the class, you have a lot of questions you want to ask. We can dialogue, we can learn from each other. So now this is your assignment. Write a short film. The film shouldn't be more than 5 minutes. Your script must demonstrate your understanding of the story structure and character development. So the requirement is that there must be a beginning, there must be a middle, that there must be an end. In your story, you must have at least 2 characters. There must be clear conflict that drives the narrative forward. So this particular one will be in your, you see that in your Google form when you are filling the attendance for you. They want to see, you see this assignment there. And again, I think I will screenshot this and drop on the WhatsApp. I'll screenshot this slide and drop it on the WhatsApp. And it's only those that attended class that should do this assignment. Because this your story is what we will use in the course of our class, in the course of this, in the course of this whole period. So you want to sit down and pray to God that God should give you an idea. And this will be one of your projects. This will be your project. You are going to shoot this story yourself, and maybe when we get to editing, the guy that will be taking us editing will teach you how to edit, how to get some free editing software, even with your phone. Remember, I told you that it's not about how expensive your gadget is. It's about how creative you are. When you are very, very creative, as time goes on, you start getting gadgets here and there. Nobody, Rome was not built in a day. So when you submit your completed scripts in standard screenplay format. Again, this will be after Tuesday. So these are evaluation criteria. Your script will be screened based on story structure. It will be based on emotional engagement, based on clarity between characters. So again, just remember this, that what you are doing is that you are not writing story. You are not writing a novel. What you are doing is that you are creating experience. An experience. Somebody wants to see your movie and experience your movie. Don't forget, your stories can heal, it can challenge, it can transform. That story that you want to write now may be the reason that somebody else's life will be changed. But the person must also feel, see, listen, and experience your story. So that will be all from my end this evening. If you have a question, I think I'll take questions. I'll take if you are not clear about the assignment, I'll just leave the assignment on the. I'll take some few questions and we'll call it a wrap. Are we together?
Yes, sir. Please, I have a question.
All right, go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. So it's concerning the assignment. You asked us to write a short script. Is it for a stage play or a screenplay?
Okay, Mommy Alessa says she can't hear. Stella Adetayo says she can't hear us. Okay, it's for a screenplay. It's not for a stage play. For a screenplay where you shoot with your device. If you have a camera, you use your camera to shoot. If you don't have a camera, then you use your phone, or you look for a very good phone to shoot. So it's going to be a screenplay. It's not a stage play. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. Let me go to the chat room and see if there are questions in the chat group. Okay, so the assignment is there. Network is bad. Any other question? Clarity as regards the assignments? Don't forget, you submit your assignment before Tuesday. You submit your first draft. Your first draft before Tuesday, you submit it by Monday evening. You submit your first draft. And so that is why your attendance, just fill your attendance. I will drop a link where you drop your first draft, or you don't even have to drop the link on the first draft. I'll say you just send it to Seekers Voice Film. You send it to our email, official email, and then that will be your first draft. We'll keep on processing your draft till it becomes your final draft. And when we now say this is your final draft, then you now do the auditioning and shoot. Regarding what you said, so my question is, if the audience are not moved by your story, does it mean it's not real? Or so what I'm saying is that the audience, people that are watching your story, they can relate with your story. Every great story, the reason why you want to see great stories is because you can relate with it. You've seen Black Panther, you've seen Abejoye. The reason why sometimes you want to close on time from work, from church, to go and see a story is because you can relate to the story. If you cannot relate to the story, then the story is not really a good story. There must be emotion. Don't forget that your story has conflict. Your story has clear goal for your character. There must not be character conflict. So you have two ladies in the story. We don't know who is acting the wife, who is acting the daughter. In fact, when you look at the daughter and the wife, they are almost similar in age. They look very, very the same. I saw that the girl got pregnant when she was a teenager. Because if she was a teenager and she became pregnant, we'll now look at it and say, okay, maybe she was 16 when she had that child, and now the child and the mother was staying side by side, and you now say, oh, so you want to tell story around that. But the audience must be able to relate to your story. So you said a perfect character is boring. Can you explain more? So a perfect character is boring. So when you are shooting a story, you are telling a story, and the character looks as if the character does not have flaw. It's quite boring, except you are using that also, except you are using that as an artistic, for lack of word, except you are using that as a suspense in your story. So people are looking at this character and saying this character is just too perfect. There must be something, and you know that there is something. So even when you are watching the movie, you know that there is something about this person that is weird, but we have not been able to decipher. We have not been able to pick what is his weakness. Like those of us that watch Terminator, you know, if you have seen Terminator, Terminator happens to be that dreaded machine that could kill anybody. So for the people that wants to fight Terminator, they have to look out for the weakness in Terminator. And because they are looking for weakness, we too that are watching Terminator want to see the weakness. We want to see the weakness. If you watch action movie, actor and boss, you see some boss, they are so strong that you cannot do them anything. But every time you see that somebody is looking out for their weakness. So in storytelling, you don't have a perfect character. You don't want to have a perfect character. Even your Jesus Christ, even my Jesus Christ, he never came in as a perfect character. It was after he has died and resurrected that God called him a perfect character. So you see him that he was hungry. Okay. So if you didn't feel, okay, please sir, what if we didn't fill our form to learn scripting? Should we also participate? Of course, you can fill the form. Of course, you can participate. You are free to participate. You are a BOD. BODs are free to. You are free to participate. The goal is for everybody to. When we are done here, our goal is to ensure that people can write good stories. People can tell good stories. We can pick your scripts. It's not that you tell me, I have a story. You drop a story. I have a story. This is the story, and you want me to go and script it for you. We don't want to be baby feeding people. We want people that would say, I have a script. This is my script. And when we look at your script, we want to just do little touch here and there and say this script is very perfect. And the next thing we want to do is to go to the location and shoot your script. Because when you are done with scripting, you still go into the place of visual storytelling, you still go to the place of directing, you still go into the place of camera handling, cinematography. Those are the courses. It's a complete course. So by the time you draft your script, you'll be able to put in the kind of shot you want to have, the kind of location, the kind of character. This one will be a close-up shot in this scene. This will be a medium shot. This will be a wide-angle shot. If we can get a drone would have shot this particular scene very well for us. So that is the end goal. And that is why everybody should participate in the storytelling, because we're going to develop your story till we get to the point that we now refine it. Then you must have a clear story in mind. And don't go and watch him and copy a story. Then you can adapt a story. You can adapt a story. But you don't need to copy and paste a story. Okay, question. I think let me just stop the recording so that I will drop that.